Hey everybody, welcome to another Prog Report podcast interview. This is Roy. Hope you guys are doing well out there. My guest on this episode is none other than Neal Morse, who's back with a number of releases due out this year. On this episode, we spoke about his upcoming rock opera, The Dreamer, Joseph Part 1, the upcoming live NMB audio release, Morsefest, which is happening in August in both the US and in Europe. And we also touch base on a yet-to-be-announced release at the end of the podcast. You want to check in on that. Before we get to the interview, just a reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and more. Check us out on all our socials and, of course, on ProgReport.com for all your news, reviews, interviews, and more. And now my chat with Neal Morse. Well, good to see you.
Good to see you. How's it going, man?
Yeah. It's good. It's been crazy as always. And, good to see that you're up and doing stuff again. Coincidentally, I didn't know you were releasing that song yesterday. So, or was it Monday or whatever it was, which was exciting.
Brother, I didn't know it either. It all got out there. It seems like the fans like it. And,
yeah.
Everybody's happy. They'll be even happier when they get the whole album, like you.
Yeah, it's, I don't know sometimes what to expect from some of the stuff, and for some reason I don't know what the next thing you do is going to sound like when it comes out. And then I hear it and I go, oh, well, yeah, it's awesome. Of course it is. You know what I mean? Like no brainer. This is great stuff.
Well, thank you. But hopefully, that's good. I mean, we want to try to, I'm working on the ending for part 2 this morning, and I'm trying to have it be satisfying, but not have it be like something I've done a lot in the past. And being that I've made a lot of concept albums, it's just kind of challenging to try to come up with things that are different enough, yet still satisfying for the listener.
Right. Yeah. You know what? Why don't we talk about the Joseph thing a little bit while we're on the subject? So this comes out in August. Was it the 14th? What's the date exactly?
August 11th.
11th. That's what it was.
Same day as the first day of Morsefest USA.
Right.
So
but you're not playing this at Morsefest, right? So that's a whole separate thing. We don't.
No. Hopefully we'll do it the following year. That's my hope.
Yeah. That'd be great. So talk about this project a little bit. Like I said, the first single, Like a Wall, is out now on YouTube and streaming and everywhere, and it's just killer rock track. But talk about this project. I mean, I think this is one you've been working on for a long time, right? When did it start, and how long did it take you to get here?
I looked at my notes, and the first ideas came at the end of September of last year. So the end of September of 22. Well, after the touring, I toured quite a bit in 22. There was quite a bit of Innocence in Danger gigs, and then the transatlantic was kind of short but intense, as always. And so then after that, after the smoke cleared from all of that, I was kind of like, well, kind of like what the good old what's next, Lord, what's next? And so I started kicking around with my wife, and my wife she's like, well, the people seem to really like the concept albums. And I was like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I do too. And then it came to my mind, and I think Frontiers had emailed me around that same time saying like, hey, we'd love to have a follow-up to Jesus Christ the Exorcist, I don't know if they call it the concept album or not, but, with an album telling a big story with multiple singers. And so I started to kick it around with her, like, what story would be good? And obviously we settled on the Joseph story. But I wasn't necessarily sold. It was just like an idea, like, oh, that feels good. And I felt that, good inside about trying it. And then we were down in Florida right when the big hurricane hit last end of September, beginning of October.
Yeah.
Hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Ian. I think it was, and we were like staying with friends in Bradenton. So
I think I remember you posting something about that at the time.
yeah, yeah, we were there with the in the heart of it, and the well, not in the heart of it. Thankfully, it didn't, hit Bradenton too badly, but the power was out for like 3 days and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, it was right then. I was working on new songs for God Smuggler. It's like all this stuff starts moving in your head, and then I started kicking around ideas for Joseph then, and I wasn't. It's kind of like you've probably heard me say this before, but I think of it kind of like a big mosaic, and you're gonna create this thing, or you're wanting to, but you're not sure if it's really the right thing, if God's in it. But so you just start painting in the corner, and like, oh, that's cool. And then maybe you start painting somewhere else, and you're like, oh, that's cool. You get like 4 or 5 pieces, even though like there's tons of stuff that's missing. But if you get enough pieces that you feel are a gift, then it's like, okay, I got the green light. I'm going to keep going on this thing. And so I put God Smuggler, I think, aside for a little while and worked on Joseph exclusively throughout like November and December, I think. And then that's when I went, whoa, this is too much. I started like really going through the story, and um, I felt like it was becoming not just too much for me to as a task to complete, with strings and horns and choir and players and singers, and it's such a massive, massive project. Uh, but not just that, but I felt like it was going to be too much for to the listener. And I don't want to say consumer, for the listener to digest.
Yeah.
I thought, man, this might. I don't even know how long this thing is going to wind up. So I contacted Frontiers and asked them if they were interested in if we could split it in 2 parts for my own sanity as well as the rest of it. And kindly they said yeah. So we kind of made a new deal for 2 releases instead of one, and
Cool.
so that's where we're at. And we've finally just started pre-orders for Joseph Part 1, and the official release date is August 11th.
And I think musically, to me, it sort of sounds not too different from stuff that people have come to know you for like Solo Gratia or kind of the Question Mark album, that kind of concept record. It has a very familiar kind of style to it from that to me. I mean, whereas I think Jesus Christ the Exorcist sounded different. It because of you not singing it and all the different singers, it had a bit more of a actual musical style to it, I think, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, well, yeah. Well, this time I am singing the role of Joseph,
Yeah.
so I'm singing a lot of the stuff. So that is different. Um, I have to write it a little lower. If I have Ted and Matt and Mark Pogue, a lot of these guys, they have such wonderful ranges. I can, you know, write for much higher ranges with them. For me, I have to be conscious of what I can sing. But no, I mean, it all comes from a natural place. Like in October, we try to take trips with one grandkid at a time, like, and just spend time. Not only that, but we like as our special time with them.
Hmm.
So we took my grandson Lucas on a trip in October when all this was kind of percolating, and we went on a cruise to Caribbean, typical sort of Caribbean, you know cheap cruise. And it's funny. I went into the solarium, and at that time in the morning, there was nobody in there, and they pipe these jungle sounds in there. I think it's supposed to be peaceful or something. But if you listen to my voice memos, there's all this ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ah. There's all these like jungle sounds in the back. It's pretty funny. But I felt really inspired about uh, a lot of that stuff, and so it just came out, and I'm not surprised it sounds like some of my other things because I am me after all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you mentioned a couple of the different guests and singers on the record. Also, other musicians. I mean, Steve Morse is on there, and the amazing thing about him is I don't think he gets enough credit, that guy, for his distinct sound, because immediately I knew it was him, and I didn't even know that he was on the record yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's in his hands too. It's partly his gear and his tone, but I think it's his vibrato, and
Yeah,
it's like his guitar playing is a very distinct voice.
totally. You could
Yeah,
tell he's like with like that, like Brian May, like Jimi Hendrix. It's like you can hear it, you can tell it's him. I mean, it's so cool.
yeah.
But yeah, talk about some of the other people on the record.
Well, let's see. Yeah, Steve Morse does a guitar solo on the "Before the World Was." That I think I cried when I put it up. I was just like, "Oh, God is."
Yeah, I could tell. I
God is
could
so.
hear that.
He's just so good to us. That I know people that I can send stuff to, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah," and anyway, yeah, Eric Gillette is playing drums on some of it. I also got Gabe Klein and Gideon Klein and their friend Sam Hunter, who some of you, if you were at the Inner Circle concert last year or the year before, they played bass, drums, and guitar at that, and I felt like to
Mm,
involve them. Ted Leonard from Spock's Beard and Enchant is singing lead on a lot of stuff. He's singing the role of Judah, basically. And Matt Smith is singing the role. Matt Smith from Theocracy is singing the
yep.
role of Reuben. And then there's a lot of other people, string players, background singers, all kinds of things. I'm probably
Oh, and
forgetting. Oh
Jake
yes,
Livgren.
Jake Livgren.
Livgren, right?
Yeah, Jake Livgren does a marvelously adventurous vocal on Goldust City. Yeah,
Man, he can sing. He sounds awesome.
yeah. He was like,
Uh,
"Hey, I took a lot of chances with this one. See how you like it." I was like, "I love it."
well, that's cool, man. So yeah, again, that comes out August 11th. Check out the first single. First single is awesome, and but that's not all you got going on. I mean, we got the NMB Evening of Innocence and Danger live in Hamburg, comes out July
Yeah.
14th. A new single from that just came out today as we're doing this. Another Story to Tell, the live version of that. Um, you know, God, that tour must feel like ages ago for you by now. Um,
It does.
what do you remember from that tour, from that show?
I remember that show. Yeah, I've had a lot of good shows at the Mark Hall all the way back to the Spock's Beard days. That's been a regular stop for me with, I think, every act I've ever toured with practically has played there. I've played there with Flying Colors for sure. I remember because my gear and luggage was all lost. And I had to go out and do the first show at the Markthalle in Hamburg with, like, in my sweatpants with a rented keyboard. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, it was this show with NMB was uh, just stunning. I just thought the audience was great. I mean, if you were there, of course, I think you agree. It was just an amazing gig. The audience is so close to you at the Markthalle, and they're almost like eye to eye. You're not above them really. I mean the way it's laid out. So it's like
Mhm.
really just a wonderful relationship happening there, and the band was just we were at that point in the tour where you're just really it's in your hands, it's in your bones, and you're just enjoying it
Yeah.
and doing it. And I think everybody played and sang great. And right, it was after the gig. I think Mike said, if we're going to release anything, any kind of live album from this tour, it should be tonight.
Luckily, you were recording.
Yeah,
Yeah.
recording our front of house guy Jerry Guidros was recording a lot of it. A lot of
Oh,
those
cool.
shows are
Yeah.
recording. Yeah.
Does
That
it
was a
take a
really,
while for you
really
guys
special.
to get so in sync on a tour? Does it take a few shows, a while, or does it happen kind of quickly?
And pretty quickly with NMB. Every group's different, but it also always it grows as it goes. I know we kept extending like Eric's guitar solo in the quiet song, um, "Innocence and Danger," the one that has that line in it.
Way it used to be, right?
Yeah, the way it used to be. Yeah, the way it has to be. I think
Has to be.
the way it has to be. Yeah, um, yeah, that was just magic every night, and the show. Every tour, like you're always trying to make it better as you go. So your timing, the timing is shifting a little bit. I think we should add this. I don't think this part's working. So by the time we hit this one, I think we really had it just dialed in perfectly.
What is it like playing those three songs? I know we call it a great similitude medley of song, but those big kind of epic pieces all in a row at the end. Is it as exhausting as maybe it looks like it might be, or it's just another song? It's not a big deal.
Well, when you're a band that has done the last tours were like Similitude, The Great Adventure, everything that we do is pretty massive.
Yeah.
so, so yeah, no, this tour was much easier, I think, in general, um, for me anyway. I didn't have any problems doing all that because the work in NMB, the vocal uh, labor, shall we say, is divvied up so much. You just got to make sure you're ready to do your part when it comes up. And yeah, no, I wasn't. I was very undaunted by all of that. It was great. And the band is such that you really feel like you just know that everything's going to be there,
Yeah.
and so you can rest. That helps you just be at peace. Also, it's like, well, you can't go wrong with these guys.
Yeah, such a it's a really great band. What's cool also with the similitude medley at the end is that it really gives you guys sort of a real good, epic, proper closing to a show. It's some those pieces I think turned out to be. I think they'll be remembered as kind of your signature moments. From this band for however long it is.
Yeah, when we did it, I remember when we finished the sketch of Similitude when we were writing it together. Um, I remember, and it's a pretty well known thing that Mike kind of gathered us together and said, "Hey guys, I think we've just done the best work that we've ever done," and so there's a very special anointing on that record for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The other thing I want to talk to you about, we should talk a little bit about Morsefest and
Oh,
everything that's going on with that because we're coming up on that. This time we got two of them. The one in Nashville is now at a new venue. You're playing Testimony 1 and 2. What else can you tell people about it? And I guess there's also the one in Europe, right? That's happening?
yeah, yeah. What can I tell you? It's gonna be Morsefesty. It's if you've been, you know what I mean. Morsefest has turned into like, its own thing, its own world. It's beyond me for sure. Uh, it's part, I don't know, part homecoming, part spiritual retreat, part music festival,
Yeah,
part just. I guess that's what I mean by homecoming. Hey, to all my friends, people
it
gather
really is. Yeah,
from
it is
every,
like that.
just a great hang. Um, it's just a really special time, and it's taken on a life of its own. So there's that, and then I really wanted to. It's the 25th anniversary of Testimony, which is like
Right.
crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
Is that our 20th? 20th, right?
Is it
Not
20th? It would
not
be
25th. I'm like, gosh, 25th? No,
yes,
20th.
20th. Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just so looking forward to it. I've been listening to it some, starting to get it back in my head. Although it's hard to do when you're in the middle of. I'm still finishing Joseph Part 2, so really what I want to do is finish Joseph Part 2, then get into Testimony, because it's hard to get your head in a lot of different places at once.
I really and you're doing it again from beginning to end, first time since the last Morsefest, the first one, right? 2014.
That's right.
Was-
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's got to be pretty cool. And then we're also getting Testimony too. So, and I'm sure you'll throw in a bunch of surprises there, which I guess we'll see what those are when we get there. And I guess you announced streaming for that, right? Is that still available for people that?
yeah. Yes, we are doing a live stream from the at the USA show. Yeah, and that's available on my website. So
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. We did that during COVID. It ran very well. Watched a
yeah.
couple of those. Last thing before I let you go on this, you recently shared some pics on the internet. Ross also shared them. Him, and Nick DiVirgilio shooting some music videos, I guess, for the next album for the three of you. What can you tell us about that one so far?
Well, the music's done. I think the artwork is still being worked on. It's on Inside Out, the new trio album, or DiVirgilio, Morse, and Jennings. I always call it the trio, but the official title is
Right.
DiVirgilio, Morse, and Jennings. And it's a really good record. I mean, I just enjoy working with those guys, singing with them, and I enjoy their songwriting, and it's a different thing. It's more kind of simpler music, more laid back. Crosby, Stills and Nash vibe kind of
Yeah.
thing. I just love it. Yeah, Ross was on his way home from the Haken tour, and Nick drove down. This was a couple weekends ago. And so we got to spend one day together, and we shot 2 music videos, took some publicity photos. What else did we do? We sang a song live in the room, which had never happened before, and signed a bunch of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, cool. Which you didn't get to do the last record, so that's all really neat.
yeah,
Um,
and it's great. We really enjoy each other, and we look forward to doing some live appearances at some point.
yeah. So I mean, look, just at one point it looked like there wasn't going to be much coming out from you this year, and all of a sudden, everything's happening. So there you go,
Yeah, well,
as busy as ever.
yeah, busy, but that's good. I'm not somebody who, if I wasn't busy, I'd become busy. And not in a bad way. I try to have it be balanced, so I'm not like, oh, it's been a crazy. I'm just going crazy. I realize deadlines in the music business are they're not like deadlines can be in other worlds. I mean, I think everybody understands the creative process is what it is, and
Sure.
nobody wants me to rush an album out. So I don't panic about it or anything like that, but it's good to. I like to have meaningful work to labor on, and it's definitely a blessing.
Well, we all appreciate it, man. We really love the stuff you do, and always welcome new things from you. Cool. All right, Neal. We'll talk again soon. I'll see you at Morsefest for this time for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Roy.
All right, man.
God
See
bless
ya.
everybody out there.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on all our socials and on progreport.com for all your news, interviews, reviews, and more. And we'll see you again real soon.